Hey gang, welcome to the Power Hour. We got the Dodge Dart doors in the booth. We just took our paint off the shaker and we're about to get some primer mixed up and shot on. So Jeff doesn't like to shoot during the Power Hour because it takes away from the power. It takes the power out of the oven. But let's see. It was 100 degrees in the booth. We shot Glazeret 285/81. Glazeret is the best paint in the world. I don't care if you're using PPG, DuPont, whatever, it doesn't stack up to Glazeret. And I'm not saying that as a matter of opinion, it's just a fact. So if you're not using Glazeret, you're really selling yourself short. The hardener, I always like to shoot with as slow a hardener as I can get, and out here for some reason, I don't know if it's our supplier or what, we can only get the 5.3. So I end up having to compensate with that by cocktailing a little bit of 70 or 100, which is your slower reducer and retarder in there. Okay, 100 degrees in the booth. It was 35 to 40% humidity, closer to 35 humidity. Normal for this time of year, monsoon season, we get a little bit of humidity in the air. And it kicks the paint off a little quicker, or primer in this case. Let's talk, slow hardener will ease up the, you ever get that primer that just sands like concrete? I mean, you sand and sand and sand and it just dulls the paper instantly. Try giving yourself better flash times and using a slower hardener. That'll ease up. Like a longer flash time will actually make the final product sand better. And let's think about flash time now for a second. Let's say you put one layer of primer down and you don't observe a proper flash time and you come in with the second coat. Well, instead of sitting on top like it should, what it's going to do is sink down into that first layer. And then when you pile that third layer on top and all three layers sink down into that first layer, well, number one, you just made super dense primer, which means you're not going to be able to sand it. But number two, you got no fill. It did not build 1, 2, 3. It just stayed one thick, super dense layer. So flash times are important. So the dart got its first dry block with 150, and you saw it get primed. And by the dart, I mean the doors and the fender. Nowhere near close to the dart being all blacked out, but we're gonna keep up on the power hour and get it done. What was I gonna say? Okay, we're gonna flip those doors over now that we got them down to the shop and we're in the booth, and we're gonna jam paint them. So we're gonna bring in that B5 blue up to the weather seal, which is our exterior body color, and then it's kind of up in the air, but I've already made tentative steps towards it. I've got a graphite metallic. Hold it right there. Let me go grab my gauges and show you. So of course I've got no sun out there to deal with, but here are the gauges that I built for the dart back when it had its 360. We went the sport comps. We made a nice little box, covered it with some Lexan, took the original plastic bezel and cut it out and attached it, and then I painted it that graphite, not the dust, that graphite color. Now that's the color I'm thinking about doing in the dart, and I'm going to do a bit of a two-tone because I like black. I like black carpeting, I like black seats, but I find all too often that everybody just goes standard or deluxe black interior, which is cool, but to me I like to put a little color in there or something that grabs the eye to let you know that, hey, there's a little bit more thought here. So we'll probably get the inner jam shot gloss graphite. This is Viper color. This here is Viper color. So we'll get the dash and the doors and various bits of areas that make sense that color. Joking about the Diamond. Well, and the Glazeret. Well, kinda. I mean, saying Glazeret's the best paint is like saying Dodge is the best car manufacturer, which it is, but obviously it's not. I mean, Chevy guys would say the same, Ford guys would say the same, Toyota guys would say the same. But Glazeret's badass paint. Alright, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in to this Power Hour. Alright, Darren, in response to your Bondo's question, let's see, at the shop now we use U.S. Chemicals Elite Gold Plus, I think, something like this. It's like the Pro Gold, but even creamier and one step above, used for spreading. Back in the day, this was really the stuff for us. I mean, this Marsden Platinum Plus just used to be super creamy and such like that. Yes, of course, we're talking tack and stain free with adhesion promoters for steel and all that. Here was something that I was kind of recommending to people who were putting that, who were putting the Evercoat polyester glaze into their filler to spread it out. I ran across this in the shop, or in the supply store one day, and gave it a try, and it certainly did seem to spread a lot better, and I'm noticing that it says not stain free but stain resistant, so I don't know. I've used a little bit of it, and the performance of spreading and sanding was just incredible. But as far as things coming back on you, I mean, I don't know. I would think that this would be a little bit better than adding the Evercoat glazing putty to your filler, because that just tends to make it kick off super quick. But next car I'm doing is I'm using U.S. Chemicals Blue Ice. Stuff's supposed to be just awesome. Self-leveling. Oh, great. You see, I tend to use fillers a lot more to straighten out the imperfections left in the metal from the stamping process and then the years of wear and tear and whatnot. I mean, obviously I'm using filler to do minor repairs and such like that, but doing these older cars, you tend to have the luxury of being able to spend a little bit more time with the hammer and dolly and making it a little bit nicer, whereas production used car stuff, you're probably doing a little bit more, you know, fill it and get it done and over with. So I spread a lot of filler and I sand a lot of it off. If you go back and look at the videos, I mean, I am not afraid to put a skim coat of filler on an entire panel, air file it down with 80 grit till it's just overcut, break out with my 150 grit on a block, and bring it down to level. And I find that just tends to get rid of the little imperfections in the steel that give it that slight wave as you're looking down the side of it. So that's what we use. And as for all the chemicals and stuff that other people are using, I mean, I guess I probably saw the Dynalite. I don't really remember now that it's brought up, but I don't really pay attention to the chemicals that a lot of other people are using because it doesn't really interest me, and it's kind of something that's out of my control. Paint products are a lot like a team, like we were talking earlier, whether you're a Chevy, Ford, Dodge type of guy, or BASF, PPG, DuPont. And then certain paint reps tend to get in with certain companies, and that's just how it is. We're in pretty heavily with, like, Leading Edge out of Phoenix is in pretty heavily with Norton and Lord Fuser and U.S. Chemicals, like I was just saying. And so when it comes to some of these other products that you guys, especially you Canadians out there, like the Rick Fix and Beethoven and Razdi Fermetta, Razdi Fermetta is actually using Diamond, so hey, we got you there. But yeah, I really don't know what everybody else is using, and I don't know what it does. I don't shop around a lot. The primer that we use, this Glazrit primer that's on the Dart and that I'm putting on, my shop alone has been using that for at least 10 years. We don't switch around a lot. We don't have the luxury of being able to just change up to something new. And a lot of times when you do change up to something new, it's got to be done with baby steps because the cost of failure is just incredible. So you tend to use what you can rely on and what you know is going to work. And then if you find little bits and pieces to help you improve your game as long as you go, well, you slowly bring them into the fold. You don't just switch totally over to something and then do several cars like that and find out that, hey, this ain't doing what you thought it did, and then you just did 6-7 cars like that. It'll get you. Just my quick thoughts.